Omar, Blanco, Quezada, and today we're talking about how to solve the immigration problem between the United States and Latin America. We have to analyze that this is a problem where thousands of immigrants are coming from Central America to Mexico looking for a better life, better conditions, and looking for keeping residency in the United States. We have to analyze that this is a problem where thousands of migrants are currently into Mexico because they cross between the border between Guatemala and Mexico looking for better life conditions. Basically, we can say that they're looking to get into Mexico on the journey to get into the United States, that get into this country by foot, but they're looking they're not trying to get right here into Mexico. They're only looking for the journey to get into the American dream. So that's why right now Mexico is responsible so for what happens in the journey and to get the assistance to get this correctly and on the legal manner. Mexico sent troops to Guatemala border to close it and hold into the immigrants that they're trying to get into the country by illegal manners because this is because of the request by the President Donald Trump to close the southern border to get into the country because this is becoming a problem for national security. This is because they don't have any kind of transportation. They came to this country by foot, so they're trying to look by train, by bus, even by any kind of ride that they can get into the country, to get into the border, like the border between Tijuana in the United States and Ciudad Juarez in the United States. We have to also take into consideration that these people are very desperate. They're only looking for a better life, conditions that they never had in life, like the crime and murders that they have to live every day. That's something that we also need to take into consideration by looking to these immigrants and the reasons that they're looking into the country. In simple terms, we can say that this will be a crisis for the country, in which violence is the main reason for this issue. Because we have different cases from domestic violence, sexual violence that they have to live every day and they don't have to struggle with it anymore. And also about the lack of the economic opportunity to get a better life because it's not like they don't want to have a job or they don't want to work. It's because they don't have the opportunity to get. They have to do very hard job for a very low pay. So that's why they're trying to get into the country, even just for Mexico and just to get what they wanted to, only fair conditions for living and for getting the payment for that. Because once they get into the country, let's say by the legal or the illegal manners, they have to deal with the different patrols and checkpoints on strategic points in Mexico to actually get into that because they have to analyze this and cross it to get into it. Because this will be like the only obstacle that they have it because if we analyze this, um, to cross the border between Guatemala and Mexico, it's very easy on the legal manners. They only have to cross a river where they can hire someone only for $1 to get into the country on the legal manners. Because if they cross to our country by the legal manners, they have to wait in a long line of people to get into the country, to present all the documentation that we need, and also with the risks to be deported to Guatemala once again with the no security to get into the country. So that's why we have a large amount of people getting into the country in illegal manner. That's why, in my opinion, our country, Mexico, needs to provide a better way to deal with the immigrants and get it into the legal manners. Because right now, it's more easy to get into the illegal manners than on the legal manners. So that's why our country needs to provide the appropriate resources to get into the country. We also need to provide a better attention to all the people that's trying to get into the country, because there's a group of people that they're trying to do it on the legal way, to do it correctly, but they're getting a large amount of obstacles to get into the country by documentation. So that's why we also need to simplify this process and just to provide the correct manners to get between the country, Guatemala, Mexico, and the United States. Because mostly they want to get into the United States by human smugglers that they're trying to get into the illegal murders into the country. This is in a very risky conditions where it can be deadly for the people that they contact these kind of smugglers to get into the country. They research these kind of people or smugglers for saying like that because it's the only way that they can get because they don't have any other manner because they're basically desperate to get into the country. They get deported to Central America, so they try again to make it by this kind of smugglers, where it can be bigly dangerous and even deadly for them. In my own opinion, the solution is not building a wall between Mexico and the United States, like Trump said, because this is beyond that. We need to get into to take into consideration more than just the immigrants trying to get into the country. In my opinion, we need to follow the correct procedure to do this, and this will be by following the legal manners. I mean that we need to simplify this process because as right now it's very difficult to get from Guatemala to Mexico on legal manners. We need to simplify this process and analyze that these people it's desperate and only trying to get something better. To the immigrants in our country, the government has provided the correct manners to give them proper health conditions, a good place to sleep, clothing, some other kind of support to get into the journey. So that's a good step for a country in how to act in these kind of situations. Which this problem needs to be treated comprehensively, taking in consideration all the struggle that they have to live every day. Immigration should not only be seen as a problem or something that we have to deal with, it also needs to be seen a possibility to development through any country, even for Mexico and the United States. With the development and design of public policies capable of deal and face this complex immigration problem that we have right now. Policies that also regulate and increase the well-being and productive potential of all the immigrants and their families, transforming their lives and finally getting the good well-being conditions that they're reaching for. We need to stop by only looking to the immigrants as an issue, as a problem, or something that we need to deal with. We need to see this as an opportunity. We need to get beyond that to get all the spectrum for this situation and also just break into it and get something new to increase, to innovate in this, to make something that no one has made before by developing and increasing legal matters of work between Mexico and the United States, reducing the current issues that we have on national security. Because I'm pretty sure that we have some kind of work that everybody can do to help the country and also get into this development for the economic risk. Because if we provide the correct manners and develop this kind of legal work that everybody can get access to, we can get on a very big contribution to the GDP of the country, and this will be all because of this kind of policies. We don't have to forget our human side and also just take into consideration of all the struggles that they're living right now, that they have been living since they born because of the drug problems, sexual violence, domestic violence, or all these problems that they have to deal with. They're trying to get into something better. So that's why we don't have to forget that, forget the human side, and provide the correct manners. We already reviewed all my ideas and opinions on it, so that's basically it. So that will be my contribution for this kind of issue on how to make it better to everyone and just to make it simple to get between the journey between Guatemala and Mexico and the United States. So this will be all for this video. So I hope I reach this topic or the purpose of this video. So well, in that case, that will be all. So well, thank you so much and have an excellent day. Goodbye.